Today, the sports update for F1 23 went live, including car model, livery, colours, and sponsor changes for all 10 official Formula 1 teams. The past F1 eSports champions are now available to pick as My Team teammates, including a 26 overall Jarno Opmeer, and the full grid cars and drivers of F2 in 2023 have been added into the game. I'm going to dive into the second update point I made just to kind of get out of the way, as it's the smaller of the three major updates in this sports update, is the F1 eSports World Champions, the former champions that have gone by. They are now pickable teammates in My Team career mode. So you can have Brendan Lee, David Tornitzer, Jarno Opmeer, and Lucas Blakely as actual teammates in your My Team career mode, which is pretty cool. There was no kind of inkling that this was going to happen, so very, very neat for them as well. You know, the pinnacle of, league racing, pro esports on the F1 games. They get this kind of, nice little prize of also now being, they're already in the game technically as a playable character when you made your avatar, but now you can actually race with them as teammates. But I want to point out, the comical thing is, and I'm not lying right now, because you can go check it for yourselves until they do a hotfix patch for it or something. But right now, as of today, when the sports update comes out on a Monday on the 16th of October, just to timestamp it, Jarno Opmeer, there's been some sort of fudge, at least on the PC platform for F1 23, and he is 26 rated. They have clowned Pogmir here. They have clowned him. He's been given 25 pace, and so therefore his overall rating is 26 rated. I feel like it's a fudge of just someone entering the numbers in wrong. Of instead of 6.2, they put in 2.6, and for the pace it should have been 5.2, and it said it's 2.5. I don't know, but it's an absolute howler, and quite a funny thing. I don't know if they've done it on purpose in a way, because it got people talking, I guess, on social media, and definitely got Jarno talking there, but I just found that really, really funny when I booted up, because I was curious to see, how it was going to be implemented. Like, they're literally just straight up a choosable driver now in the driver market if you have the icons enabled. But justice for my guy Jarno. 26 rated. That makes him only one overall higher than the default reserve driver when you don't sign someone. So the smallest kind of addition with the sports update taken care of, and definitely the most comical, I guess you could say. Let's move on now to those new car models. So I think for the first time in the F1 game cycle, the sports update has updated every single team with new models, new liveries, sponsor changes, and even color tweaks in the case of Ferrari as well, to kind of color correct and get it more to be like what it is in real life. So let's go on and start with, we'll start off with the leading team in 2023, Red Bull Racing. So they've had a number of changes. They've got side pods that are updated. The floor of the car has also been modified. The rear wing now has fixed flaps, and the nose of the car has been altered as well. And changes have been made also to the front wing flaps and the rear wheel hubs. 3 sponsors have changed for Red Bull: the removal of Claro and the addition of A1 on the inner front wing end plate, plus Sue added to the halo. Ferrari, this is a pretty big noticeable update, as Cody's and EA mentioned in their article. So they've got a new lick of paint in the game to kind of more closely match what we've seen in real life. The Ferrari, the red has always been a little bit washed out and off since the launch of the game, so the sports update's now finally fixed that. The side mirrors were reshaped in the upper section, and the floor has been completely rebuilt, as have the side pods. The top canopy has been adjusted to align with the new side pods, and the upper bodywork has undergone reconstruction in the lower section and adjustment in the upper section. Additionally, the rear wing has been updated with a new side corner shape, and new support has been added. As for sponsors, the AWS logo position has been adjusted, whereas Shell and the Scuderia Ferrari app logos are both relocated to the fairing section of the halo. Moving on to Mercedes, I'm sure a very highly anticipated update, especially for all you Mercedes fans and Hamilton and Russell fans. So obviously Mercedes now no longer with the zero side pod concept. They've actually got side pods now with that dramatically different side pod, in addition to new wing mirrors and a change of the shape of the rear wing. There's an added fin piece to the rear crash structure and an extra piece to the rear of the floor. The front suspension mount, also you'll notice, has been changed and pushed upwards, and the position of the front suspension arm has been tweaked. Lastly, there are updates to the front wing end plate and also the rear wing end plate. In a somewhat similar vein, McLaren have gone through some revolutionary changes this season in terms of performance, and looks-wise, of course, it's not as dramatic as maybe zero to actually having side pods, but their side pod shape has very much changed towards the kind of, Alpine, Red Bull sort of way with the gullies, but then also the actual general shape of the outside of the side pod. So in addition to their side pod changes, we also got the addition of fins to the rear of the halo and the installation of side mirrors and supports. There's also altercations to the rear wing end plates and an added top canopy alongside the floor changes, edges, and the body of the car. In terms of the sponsors, accelerating Web 3 has been added to the rear wing, and center has been moved to the driver's surround. Chrome and DP World are included on the halo, as is Halo ITSF. The base of the halo now displays #Team Bahrain, and lastly, OKX has been removed from the side pods. Aston Martin's alterations focus on the floor body center, rear wing end plates, top canopy, shark fin, side pods, front wing main plane, front wing end plates, and front wing flaps. Obviously, Aston Martin, they pioneered the really deep kind of, crevice tunnel in the side pods, but as of recently, since I think the Canadian Grand Prix, they actually flattened out a first portion of that top surface, and then it transitions into that really deep gully. There are significant changes to the sponsor of the car for Aston Martin, as we've seen in real life, with Valvoline being added to several areas, adding a little bit of red and blue to the car throughout. TikTok and DBX 707 feature on the Halo, while Next Gen have been added to both the Halo and the nose cone. The safety cell now features the Bombardier logo, and the Porto logo has been updated. Wolfgang has been added to the nose cone, and Boss has been moved to the inside of the front wing end plates, and the nose now displays the updated 110 Aston Martin logo, and Banco Master has been added to the rear wing end plate. The Alpine cars had some more subtle updates, with the rear wing main plates adjusted, the front fence reshaped, and the winglets being added to the halo. Additionally, the side pod has been slightly altered and sculpted as they evolve their design in real life. For sponsors, the @Alpine Cars logo has been removed from the inside of the halo, with @Alpine ESports added in its place. Furthermore, the Track Racer logo can now be seen on the mirror brackets, and the BWT logo, previously located at the rear of the steering wheel, has been removed, and the EcoWatt logo can be now found in the wheel fins. Alfa Romeo's tweaks include front spoilers, flaps, and wings, as well as alterations to the nose shape and camera pod positions, no longer with the kind of stubbier square nose, more of like a Ferrari 2022 style nose that they've been sporting in recent races. The front suspension area and midsection bottom have been modified, with the side pod air intake and halo cut line adjusted. Other changes include updates to the windscreen shape, removal of the side cooling grid, and adjustments to the floor, DRS flap, and rear diffuser. In terms of sponsors, several have been removed, including Axim Trade from the nose, Crypto Data and Whisper from the front flaps. Sauber formed the front central flap, and Group Nosa from the nose. AlphaTauri, just like Alfa Romeo, some subtle changes to this car compared to other teams. The side pod mirrors have been reshaped in the upper section. The rear section of the side pod has been rebuilt and added a new crease detail that's been added to the front section, kind of copying off what Red Bull have had in the past previously. And finally, the floor of the car alongside the rear wing has been completely rebuilt. Even more subtle, though, is going to be the HAS, because they include changes to the front wing end plates only, front and rear wing flaps, and then a slight tweak to the main nose sensor. And finally, Williams. Their changes include the addition of a flap to the floor end plate, lower winglets on the rear wing, and shark fin, and finally a carbon fin has been incorporated beneath the car. A handful of sponsors have also changed, with Williams F1.com being removed, and Kraken has been added to the inside of the halo. Casual Lens has been added to the mirrors, and Julia Hub to the wheel fins. So actually, quite surprisingly, a thorough bunch of updates for every team. Like I said, I think it's really the first time I think they've made sure to actually update every single car, and they've mentioned changes of every single car, but I could be wrong. I believe last season for F1 22 it was only like a handful of cars, so this year they've tried to change something about every single team. And one thing I will actually give praise for is the actual detail of these changes that I've been reading out have been all put in an article, so I do like that. I think that they're going to do more sports updates. I would love them to do more sports updates if possible, a bit sooner in the year, maybe in the future. And if they were to do so, continue with this level of detail, because as I've said in the past, Formula One fans, we love detail. We love the extra mile to really nitpick these details. Just like, you know, when we're watching TV coverage and you have like a tech talk side of things, you know, we like to learn about these finer details that are improving the cars and changing the cars. Obviously this season, maybe more so than previous seasons, there have been some really dramatic changes, you know, with the McLaren, with the Mercedes and Ferrari compared to maybe F1 22. I want to note, by the way, before someone asks in the comments below as well, there hasn't been any performance changes, at least not to my knowledge. I've checked with a new career save and there doesn't appear to be any changes, and even my current My Team save, there is no changes to the R&D chart and positioning of where the teams are currently, which kind of suggests there has been no actual performance change. This is just fully all aesthetics in terms of updating the sports model of all the cars and the sponsors and colors, etc. And then finally, of course, we've got the addition of the 2023 F2 season, and unlike I think last year, the F2 season, the updated one, the latest one, is like a kind of a mini DLC, I guess you could say, in a way, of a whole additional grid to the game, has been added in with the sports update. Because I think from last year, you know, back, you know, till I can remember when they were adding in the latest F2 season, it always used to be separate from the sports update. So they combined it all, and actually there was a little note in the main menu that this was sports update 1, which might suggest in the future, would there be maybe a further sports update right at the end of the season maybe, or, you know, going into next year. I'm not too sure, but this is update 1, maybe, you know, according to that main menu screenshot of the update today. So with all those new additions with the sports update, let me know in the comments below, guys, if you weren't playing F1 23 as much, will this sports update get you to jump back into the game just to kind of experience these changes, see these differences in the car? What do you make of the updates? Personally, I think, you know, the sports update itself still, I think for a lot of us F1 fans, happens quite late in the year compared to when some of these changes have been made. But of course, there are just, you know, actual physical, you know, barriers that will just never change in terms of they have to get these changes signed off by each of the official F1 teams. So I think, you know, wanting these sports updates earlier in the game cycle will always be near on impossible unless they can speed up that process and, you know, maybe, you know, how quickly they can build these things. But so forgetting about the timing of the sports update, I think the actual quality of the sports update, I'm actually quite impressed with. The Mercedes, the Ferrari, the McLaren, all these big changes to the side pod areas and structures, you know, they're big tasks compared to maybe previous year's games where the changes were quite subtle. And I am impressed by the level of quality of the changes, and like I said, the thoroughness of the reporting of all these little changes to every single team, be it just colors or sponsors or actual additional little winglets here and there, floor changes, etc., you know, wing changes. So yeah, I would love for them to continue this level of detail of reporting when they make these kind of updates. And like I said, you know, it'd be great, you know, if sometime in the future there could be multiple sports updates throughout a game cycle year to year to really get loads of different changes of the cars. But at the moment, there's probably a lot of red tape limitations to that, but, you know, you can always have wishful thinking for that. But overall, a pretty big sports update that definitely does change aesthetically the look of the game, very, very much so for the cars. And then also, like I said, a nice little fun update to have the esports drivers in the My Team career mode, and just absolutely hilarious that Jarno was rated 26 rated as I record this video. But speaking of My Team icon update, in terms of updates to My Team, it would be lovely to actually get some actual updates or any kind of news on work they're doing for next year's Game On updates, even now, because I feel like they owe us some actual early updates on what they're actually doing to rectify the fact that this game mode and the whole of career mode did not see any upgrading in this year's game. But that is just my take on it, and I doubt they will be giving us any early updates and reassurance of that. We're gonna just have to wait and see until next year, I guess. But anyway, that's been, I don't want to get into like a whole different sort of section of the video and rant. I'll leave that for another day maybe. But guys, if you have enjoyed the update and the overview of the sports update, then be sure to hit the like button on this video. As I said, let me know what you made of the update, and will this actually convince you to jump back into F1 23 if you had played it less recently. And if you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.